Good morning. We are live, I think, Fhonda.
Good morning.
Hey, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you and talk about your real estate journey and all the success you've had in a short period of time.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, so, as I kind of promoted out there, I talked about you being a newer agent, although you're going into your fourth year. And in your first year, you sold 36 houses. And then, the next year you sold 68 houses. So I kind of just wanted to have a talk about that. And as Randy, your better
Yeah.
half pops in the back door there. I'll say, this is what happens when we're live. No telling what, dogs may be walking behind me in a minute. I got them shut out of here. But
It's a
so
lot.
again, it's live. We are really live. But again, thanks for joining me this morning, and thanks for just being open to share your journey here, in real estate. So before we jump into that, why don't you kind of talk to me? Tell us about what your journey was, or what you were doing before you got into real estate.
I was actually in direct sales with a beauty company. I'd been doing that 3 years with Beauty Control and then 2 years with the other one, Limelight by Alcone. So I just sold makeup. I put makeup on people. I'm a self-proclaimed makeup artist. So I was already doing like the social media and stuff. And I had lots of clientele. So it was good to start my journey in real estate. Not that that wasn't easy to launch that from, hey, I'm your makeup girl, trust me, to, hey, I'm your realtor, trust me. So
Oh, yeah, that's good. So what made you decide to switch from that to real estate?
actually, I was sharing a room in Georgia with another agent, and I had seen her screen and asked her about her screen. And she said, that's my real estate. And I said, wow, that's your real estate business. And she had told me, yeah. And she said, that's just the rev share part. I made this much in commissions. And I was like, wow. I said, you don't live like you make that much a month. She said, I just don't budget well. And I was like, wow, let me see how that's set up. Let me see the makeup of that company. And when she did, I thought, oh, wow, wait a minute. So I had never thought about getting in real estate, not one single second. She said, hey, you want to talk about it? And I said, no, I don't want to talk about it. Thanks, though. And as soon as she left and I got on the road, I called Randy and said, I think I'm getting my real estate license. And he said, I think you'd be good at it. And I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, you've got a great work ethic that, parallels me from, nobody's going to tell you, go out and sell a house, go
Right.
out. You've got to have the discipline to do it at home, to always be working toward that goal. So
That's
I
such a
enrolled
good
in school.
That's such a good point. I think a lot of people get into this guitar business. I've been doing it now 24 years, and a lot of people get into this business. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, it's a pretty easy business to get into. Yet we're dealing with people's biggest assets, right? But so it's a relatively easy business, but people don't realize that they're launching a business. Right. I
Right.
think a lot of times people don't realize that. So clearly you came from a background where you had already launched your makeup business. So you knew, like, nobody's going to call you to wake you up and say, hey, you need to be here, need to do that, need to do that.
Exactly.
So let's talk about, so you jumped into real estate, you got your real estate license. And so your first year you sell 36 houses, which is absolutely amazing. So, I've watched your journey since you came on board, almost 4 years ago now. And so you just finished your third year. We'll talk about that in a second. But, your first year, man, you come out of the gates and rocked out with 36 deals. So tell us, how did you do that? That's like not the norm. You probably didn't realize it at the time,
No.
but you're just doing what you know. But just maybe for, especially if newer agents are listening to this, like, what did you do, or what would you say to those agents that just helped you come out like that?
So the main thing that I saw when I got into real estate was the answer in your phone. Once you did something or follow up with your phone, this needs to be your lifeline, right? So what I first did was I took all, because at those beauty shows I would gather addresses. So every address I had in my phone, I had copious notebooks with where they had attended some kind of party. I took postcards. Now, this isn't the postcard. This is the one that I sent in February out to people. But I took postcards and I said, "Hey," it had my picture on it with a city in behind it, and it said, "Hey, I just got my real estate license." And then I would send 20 out, and then I would make a phone call to those 20 people, and then I would be allowed to send 20 more, because I'm a firm believer in don't cast out the line if you don't even have time to reel it in. So a lot of times people want a bunch of leads, but then they neglect some of those. So I tried to be very direct with it. I also had an agent that brought me into the company that said, "Hey, hang out with me." And she allowed me to hang out with her for 3 weeks. And I noticed that there wasn't a lot of texting. In my other business, there was a lot of texting. This was phone calls, and I would just listen. And I think those alone, and knowing what to do, and the 3 foot rule, everyone that was within 3 foot of me, I said, "Hey, I'm a real estate agent. Hey, how can I help you?" And then when someone would say, "Hey, have you like dealt with foreclosures? What do you think about the market?" I was like, "Oh, I better get schooled on stuff like that." So I just started putting training at night and conversations during the day. I really think that the agent that sees the most people is the one that's going to do big business and not scared to open up. So I just let everyone know, "Hey, I got my real estate license." I sent out messages every night. I filled out postcards every day. So
that
just let them know.
you just said a whole lot of great little nuggets in that period of time. So let me step back a minute. So you started out just sending 20 postcards at a time, and then you would call them and just say, "Hey, did you get my postcard?" I guess it went something like this.
Yes.
"Hey, did you get my postcard? I just got into real estate. Do you know anyone that may be looking to buy or sell?" Was that kind of the gist of the conversation?
Exactly.
And then you got through those 20 people, and then you allowed yourself, or you could send 20 more, and then you just did the same thing. So the first component is you built your database, right? It's like you had created a database, and then you just worked that database, it sounds like.
Yes.
Number one. Okay. So that's awesome. And again, just being in real estate for so long, that's one small thing that is probably the biggest impact on anyone's business, is to create a database. So many agents, they don't create databases. I've seen over the years, they don't have all their past customers in some sort of database so that they can even continue staying in contact with them right after the sale. But so you've done a great job at doing that to start your business, and clearly that worked. And then you said then the next thing. Okay, so see, this is what happens when you're old.
The 3-foot rule.
Oh, the 3-foot rule, and that you were also such a sponge. And I was reminded of myself when I got into real estate. I was so much like that. I mean, I went to every class I could go to. Like, I did everything I could possibly get my hands on. Like, I too was that sponge. And that 3-foot rule, like, I remember going out to dinner with my husband, and back in the day, they used to have Homes magazines. That really dates me, right? Like, people would be sitting at the restaurant with the Homes magazine. I would tell Steve, "I'm going to talk to them before we leave." He's like, "You better not talk to them. They're trying to eat their dinner." And I'm like, "I'm not pulling a chair up to their table, but I'm going to tell them, let them know I'm a realtor, and give them my card and just say, 'Hey, I see you're looking at this Homes magazine.'" And again, sometimes agents are afraid to put themselves out there to do that. But like I was telling everybody and anybody, like you said, that whole 3-foot rule. If I heard somebody behind me talking about houses, I'm turning around and having a conversation with them.
Right.
And I think it takes that tenacity to do that, again, because nobody's pushing you to. No one's telling you better go do this stuff, right? Because we don't get paid if we don't sell houses. And so it's not like you got an employer hanging over your head, beating your head to get out and do X, Y, Z, right? It's your business. And so, you've done clearly such a, great job at all those things. And
Well,
you
thank you.
are such a sponge. Like I've watched you, and like you just want to know everything. You want to absorb everything, even to the point like you were talking about the agent. You were listening to those conversations. You
Right.
were what was she saying? Maybe you couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but what's she saying? Okay, take note of that. Like, you were so good at that.
Well, just real estate conversations and getting to know real estate, because that's the fear when you first come in, that you're not going to know. So even just Googling those conversations and listening would help a newer agent. And not scared to make a mistake, because I thought, okay, I have so many people in my life that I can ask, because I could reach out and say, hey, I just got my real estate license. I know you've been in for a while. Can you help me with this? And just being open and honest with the people, when they would say my first foreclosure or whatever, they said, have you ever done a foreclosure? And I said, absolutely not, but we can learn this together. I've never had a client say, no, when it's something new, a 1031 exchange or anything like that. So I just think that the honesty and the openness, and of course, being a good communicator, that shows that you're willing to learn. And I've never had a client say, oh, you're not experienced enough, even though that's a fear, when you get your realtor license.
Yeah. Because then you can lean, like you said, you lean on the people that you're part of, in the group. Like we'll talk about that in a second, but we have such a great group of realtors and we collaborate so well. And so to be able to just tell your client, I haven't done one, but I've got a whole group of realtors that work along the side of me that have done a lot of foreclosures.
Yes,
Right? Or
I've
have
said that many times.
yeah, or that have done a, whatever, type deal, because, of the type environment that, you and I work in. And so actually, let's talk about that for a second. Well, let me just say this. Is there anything else from a new agent perspective? Again, if new agents are listening, that you would say you really need to consider this. What about social media? Let's talk about that for a minute, right? Social media is so big now, and for some agents, it's hard to push themselves to get themselves out there doing social media, especially lives. It's not comfortable for, any of us really to go live on social media in any fashion. But let's talk about social media for a minute. And how do you play that into your business, and how have you?
So with social media, I was already doing the makeup broadcast, so I was pretty comfortable on screen. I do think that video is the way to go. Quick videos are even more resounding if you can get what you want to say, within 30 minutes, if something like this. Or, if you want to teach on why it's good to show in the rain, 3 to 5 minutes. So I was very comfortable there. I just share my life. So there's nothing in my life that is secret. The kids, I just share everything about that. I let them know that I'm a real person. I'm not real guarded with that information. Of course, I'm not putting my bank account number out there. The private stuff that is supposed to be private, and just not just throwing my stuff out there, but actually, I've even got it scheduled in my calendar to go on social media and see what my friends are doing, taking a vested interest in the people that I have on social media. So it's not just rah Fonda. It's actually, I'm communicating with them. They're getting to know the real me.
Right.
So as a newer agent, you might have, 1,000 friends. You might have 5,000 friends. But if you're not telling them that you're an agent in some way, bringing them valuable information or sharing your closings. I've even took screenshots of like a pretty tree or something and said out showing it in Smyrna, Tennessee, those kind of things. So I'm from Manchester though. So I just might do something like that just to keep people engaged, and also dropping little nuggets all the time that, hey, I'm an agent. Remember, I'm an agent, because I'm such is my personality. Everyone's my friend. Everyone becomes my friend that enters my life. So that's one thing I'll say. Not everybody wants friends with everybody that enters their life. I'm one of those few that I do like that. I like to get to know someone on a friend level. So I think that social media is very important. I don't think that you should sell like these little scripts here, at the bottom of my pictures, everyone. I don't sell to people on social media. I'm trying to actually get to know you.
Build relationships. Yeah.
Exactly.
Build a relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in the relationship business.
Absolutely. You had talked about clients and repeat clients, and people had told me, oh, in 3 to 5 years, you'll get repeat clients. Well, within the first year, we were having repeat clients, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And that is something that I really, really cannot shout out enough to. In the makeup, I was contacting my clients every month saying, hey, what do you need? Are you out of mascara? I just put that into real estate, and I send them little like March gold. Hey, you're a golden client. I send them out something. I text them. I'm very friendly with my clients. I want to be on top of their mind. When somebody says real estate, I want them to be like, you got to meet my girl Fhonda. You got to. So that's one thing that I will say. We stay in contact. I've noticed realtors over the years, they'll be like, oh, where are you getting your leads? Oh, this is the past client. Oh, I didn't, so I didn't stay in touch or whatever. I think that that's a big fail. Leads is one of the most important things in real estate. So that is the hottest water you got. That's your shower water. That's who's going to shower you with the compliments and the referrals. So that's one thing that I say I'm very good at. I brought that from makeup to here because I know that following up and not just selling them something and forgetting them.
Yeah.
They'll always be my friends.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So you sold 36 houses your first year by yourself, and then you decided, you and Randy, your husband, he decided to go get his license, and then y'all partnered up in your second year, and then y'all sold like 68 houses the second year, didn't you?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So tell me how y'all made it, because Steve, my husband, that same thing happened to me, but it took 5 years for me. I had just gotten so busy where I needed help. And so Steve decided, to give up his full-time career at that time. This is many, many years back, and partner with me in real estate. And so tell me, maybe real quick, talk about what made you, why not bring someone else? Why your husband? And then how has that worked with the two of y'all? Sometimes working husband and wife can be a little bit of a challenge. And so talk about for a minute how, why, and then how have y'all made it work? Because y'all make it work. I mean, y'all are very good, complimentary of one another as far as, the things you do really good. He's much more reserved, it seems, and quiet, than you. So you're more that front person. But he's very much as much involved as you are. So just kind of talk about that dynamic just for a minute.
I think that it helped that I had already laid the groundwork and entered the first year as two new agents. I think it'd be hard to do the task. And I tell every husband and wife team, I tell them, you just got to see where you fit, and you've got to be willing to pick up his weakness and make that your strength. Or I tell Randy all the time. Randy said, I don't need the camera screen. He said, I want you to be the face of it. So it is like a union. You've got to make sure there's a blend there, and there's always going to be conflict. There might be something that he doesn't do the way I like it. So what I've learned is it doesn't have to be my way to be correct, because I started this. And when he come on, we had our story kind of begins when we lost our jobs 18 months before I got my license. We lost our real jobs and had to switch companies, both of us, him in April and me in July. So when I went into this and I started getting really busy, I was like, oh, we're not seeing each other. Oh, we're not being able to, be husband and wife, because it was so demanding and my phone was so demanding. And he was thinking about starting a new career because he wasn't in his forever job. And I said, why don't you just join me? He said, I don't know. I don't know. Well, he passed his test the first go. I was like, see, you've got to have belief in yourself. And he's come out of his shell a lot.
Yeah. I've seen that, just being like, knowing him from when he came in till,
Oh,
nowadays.
yes. He's talkative now, and which is good because it is a relationship business.
Yeah.
And so when he come in, we have just really started sharpening where our skill sets. So where are we going to be in the business? So I think that's something that when you do a domestic team like Randy and I, that you've got to have, it's kind of like a big oak tree. You've got to have room to bend. So a lot of times I deal with the listings. He deals with the buyer side after we meet everyone the first go around. He'll pick up the buyers and take them on through the process. So it was a little bit trickier than doing it yourself. I wanted to go back to something that you said, that when you get your real estate license, you're starting a business.
Yeah.
Kathy, I wanted to go back to that. A lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah.
When they get their license, they think they work for the broker,
Yeah.
and you absolutely do not. You're an independent contractor. The broker's got, I don't know, 10 or 20, 40, 100 other agents in his office. He's not going to be like, hey, you coming to work? Hey, I need you over here. No, it is your own business, and you've got to be the front line. And I have chose to be the front line. But then when Randy joined me, I noticed that he chose to take ownership. And that's what it takes. It takes two. And a lot of times while I'm doing the office stuff at night, he's cooking dinner. I mean, it's got to run. He knows that we're partners.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. So when you jumped into real estate, you partnered with EXP right off the bat. And, so is that because the relationship you had with the agent that you said, who even introduced you into the idea of getting into real estate? So you partnered with EXP because of that to start with, right? And then you knew, the great training. So talk about from the training perspective, like the training and the collaboration. That's the one thing, being in real estate so long, and I now have been at EXP myself for 5 years, but that's the one thing that I feel like is, well, we have a lot of things, but the one thing is, even for new agents, we've just got amazing training and collaboration. And talk about that for just a moment, your experience of coming into it as a brand new agent with the company.
So I actually joined EXP because that day I asked her to show me how the company was structured. And when she did, I seen that it's an amazing company, structured in a very good way, that it doesn't take away from the agent. Because I had heard so many times that, you're working half for you and half, which it usually isn't 50-50, but that's what we've heard, right? And I thought, I don't want nobody taking a half of my proceeds. So when I seen the structure, I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. And of course, my relationship with that person, because who sponsors you is important, right? Yes, it does matter. So when we got into EXP, and it was because of the structure, and I seen that it does make you feel like you can brand yourself more than the broker. So when we got into this, it was based off of that structure, and I just took that and run. So
because we really get paid 3 different ways versus the one way, and we are able to build an actual business under the umbrella of EXP, right? So rather than, if we want to, you as an agent, you can bring agents onto your team. I call it the modern team, right? Versus the traditional team. But we've got all the tools, the support, and everything to plug them into. So you can create an additional, way of, again, we just build a business under the model, and not have to go open the traditional brick and mortar, yeah.
And that's kind of where that went, the success, because I thought, I want to build this. I want to build something with EXP, and I want to build it big, and I want to build it resounding. But I thought, how can people trust me?
Yeah.
And so I did 36 deals in my first year, and 68 the second, 72 the third. So I'm a huge believer that anybody can hit that bullseye one time, but it's hard to hit that bullseye 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be able to say, hey, I know real estate. And I know how to build a resounding business in real estate and create wealth for myself. Literally the first month in, real estate, I had 4 deals going, and how I got those is the postcards, listening to her on the phone, riding around with her for 3 weeks saying, hey, put me in your car. And she just had the heart to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So I learned the lingo and that you have to answer that phone. And this isn't a text business. It's actually a talk to your people and be a relationship business, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I seen with EXP. I seen that you could build something bigger and you could help more agents. So I hear a lot of times that EXPs are recruiting. That should be a compliment to you. I don't think it's a recruiting business. It's changed my life so much. I mean, we were broke.
Yeah.
We're debt free now.
Oh, praise Jesus.
3 years and 3 months, and I can say we're debt free.
Yeah.
So
that's fantastic.
That's life changing.
That's life changing.
Why would I want to share that?
Exactly. Exactly. And, another component is we have the stock options that we get. So you and Randy, just with your volume, you guys are icon agents. So everything you've paid into EXP, you get back in stock options. And so how has that impacted you guys? I mean, you've probably got stocks sitting there now that, again, I've never had that ability before to be able to earn stock back for, we can earn stock 5 different ways or obtain stock 5 different ways, right? But to be able to earn everything you paid back because you're an icon, an icon status, as EXP would refer to it based on y'all's sales and what you do. That's amazing, isn't it? To be able to have, not only are you debt free, but now you have these stocks available that, after 3 years of being in the company or being vested at the time you earn them, you can cash them out. Like Steve and I, in December of 2020, we decided we were looking at our stock portfolio and we decided, wow, look at what we've accumulated, because it was sort of just out of sight, out of mind. And we decided to sell a handful of them and pay off one of our rental houses. That was a blessing, and never even thought that was going to be a possibility, when we made the change 5 years ago to EXP. But just having that stock that we have been able to accumulate based on, the sales and the different ways that we can earn it, now has one of our rentals paid off probably 10 years sooner than what we would have had it paid off. Yeah. So.
And I've heard about people buying cars with it. And I know Phil Rice and Melissa Orange, they bought a Tesla with it. So there's been a lot of good things. So I'm not the stock one of the team. Randy is. Randy watches our stock. And I'm kind of like you. It is there. We haven't used any. We actually haven't even moved the stock since it moved over to ShareWorks. But just knowing it's there, and knowing that I have a backup plan, that I'm not going to have to open doors at 85.
That's right. That, along with with the reps, you're being able to build your business and stuff. That's the component too. It allows us to have agents be able to build an exit strategy. I say all the time, or I kind of joke, but it's not a joke. I mean, because we're self-employed, we're not W-2'd. We have to be responsible for being disciplined to take our taxes out, right? To be able to pay our taxes to the IRS every year. And so many agents are not disciplined to do that. And then April 15th rolls around. They're like, oh my goodness, I owe this much money to the IRS. And so, if we're not even disciplined to do that on taxes, most aren't disciplined to set themselves up for an exit strategy one day down the road, right? And that's where EXP too, I feel, has been able to fill in the gaps for a lot of agents. We get paid because of the way, the compensation is getting paid 3 different ways. It allows you, to be able to build yourselves an exit strategy, a retirement plan, right? All those things.
That's willable to our children. That's
right.
Another thing that was very important to me. And when I seen that, I was like, oh, no, that's nice. You don't just lose your business. Someone in your life can just pick up your business and continue on. I love that part. Yeah. So, Kathy, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the revenue share part of it, because upon our success, agents started asking us, "Hey, what are you doing?" So now I just recently went and took my broker class to get a certification. I've got to take the test yet. So I did that for continual learning more than anything, just to sharpen my tools in my tool belt. And I thought it was resounding that, we have 37 people that have partnered with us and is in like our downline.
In your organization. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. That's a better word. Yes, in our organization. So I think that that's resounding that in 3 years we have, a modern team of 37 people in our organization. And there's not a day that goes by that one of them doesn't text or call me or ask me and just partner with me. I can reach out to them. I love it. And I've had so many reach out to me of those 37 people and say, this is life changing. I love those messages. So it's not just, it's not just me just blowing it out the water, but I have people that's capping and iconing, and I'm celebrating them just as big. So it always keeps me active. It always keeps my cup filled. And I love that part about it, because you get to see those numbers grow for them in our back office, and you get to celebrate and relive, capping every time one of them caps. So, or every time one becomes an icon, so that that it's not just your life that you enhanced, that you changed, but you actually changed another agent's life.
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah. And, we've been blessed in that way too. I mean, being a part of it 5 years, we've been able to build a team of, we're about 10 short of 1,600 agents, across,
awesome.
42 states now. And I think we're in 5 different countries. And, it's same thing, when you get a text from somebody that just because you really introduced them to it, just, EXP, and, all the tools and everything. So it's been amazing. So Fhonda, I appreciate your time today. Is there any last words that you would want to tell somebody that, has been in real estate, looking to get in real estate, any last words that you would want to share with them? Certainly if they want to know more about EXP, I'll put in the comments our contact information. And so if you know Fhonda, reach out. If you know me, reach out. But if you have any questions about EXP, but is there any, last comments about, either real estate, EXP, anything that you want to finish up with?
I would probably tell people to brand themselves.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I don't think anybody knows what company I'm with most of the time. They just love Fhonda and they want to support Fhonda and they want to do business with Fhonda. I say brand yourself, and that brand should stand out with your integrity, your ethics, and your personality and the character you bring. So
that's so good. That's so good. We could talk all day on that topic alone. And we're EXP is an advocate of branding yourself, not the company. It's the business about you. And, again, just with my history in real estate, that's not all the philosophy. A lot of times the companies want them branded for obvious reasons, right? But,
Right.
We're all about branding yourself. So that's actually great advice. And, it is all about you and your business, your relationships, all the things that Fhonda's talked about today, in building your business and building a successful real estate business. But Fhonda, thank you again for being on and sharing your wisdom. And I'm just so proud and just happy for all your success. And I just know that's going to continue. You and Randy are doing amazing things, and your energy is infectious.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much for having us. This is a real pleasure.
Oh, thanks so much. Have a great one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.